So we have YOLO, You Only Live Once, Single Elim Tournament, Best of 7, Medium Timer, Standard Counterpick, Reaverb Tau versus Southpaw Hare. Reaverb, a newer player, started playing, I believe, sometime, probably in the last 6 months or so. Maybe it's been a year already, actually. Not too sure what he plays. Southpaw Hare, a Yomi regular, been playing for a very, very long time. Should be an interesting matchup. Oh, okay. Alright, so we're DeGray versus Geiger. So this is not a matchup I know too much about, but we're going to make the best of what we can. I know that, so Geiger's our one-touch kill character. If he can build up, his game plan is going to be to build up a fairly large hand, and then go ham. The only issue with that in this matchup specifically is, in the meantime, while you're sitting at 8, 9, 10, 12 cards, if DeGray can get down to 5 or 6, then anytime he's putting a face or an ace in play, he's just going to be dealing an absurd amount of damage. Okay, so starts with point counterpoint, sinks it as well, and finds some good starting damage. That's going to be 25, or 24. Good start, and that's basically the way this is going to play out. The thing that Reaverb has to worry about is putting himself in a position where he's sitting at 3 or 4 cards in hand. While his damage is going to be really high, his hand may be extremely exploitable. He may be in a position where he actually doesn't have all that many tools. He has to make the hard reads. He needs to hit, throws with 5 attacks, 6 attacks. And potentially in the late game, if Geiger is able to build himself into a hand where he actually has enough damage to close things out, then he can get checkmated by Time Spiral. 2.4 speed is very difficult for DeGray to deal with, especially on a knockdown. Okay, this should find a throw for 10 damage and knockdown, and also keeping Reaver at less cards in hand. Oh, actually bluffed on that one. Very interesting. So what happens if you actually blue burst that? If you play the Joker, you do get knocked down, but you only take the 2 damage. The chip damage from the Jack, essentially. It's not something I'm very fond of doing. I think blue bursting just a regular combo fairly early in the game, or gold bursting is probably more effective. But in that case, it could have put him... Ooh, nice. Very good. He needs to defend himself from those. He has basically only kings of his own to be able to tie Geiger's king speed at 0.2. Nice. Southpaw playing basically the standard versus DeGray game plan, which is until you prove to me that you actually have an ace and are willing to play it, then I'm just going to play attacks that are faster than 5.6 speed. That's going to cover basically, all of the really dangerous starting options or combat reveals that DeGray has. Okay, walks into a Jack. That's fine. Was trying to find the block on knockdown. Get some more damage in. Fairly close, and Southpaw playing the gears out style of Geiger. He's not building to a massive hand. He's just dealing damage and closing out the game as quickly as he can. Okay, Temporal Distortion. Even on low hand, this is pretty good for Geiger. Again, Reaver hasn't shown that he has an ace or is willing to play it yet. Oh, that is a very unfortunate gold burst there. Beautiful dodge. very lucky dodge for Reaver there. Avoids a Joker, avoids giving him Southpaw 2 aces, and also gets rid of Temporal Distortion. So he basically only has the jack to contend with right now. If at first you don't succeed, try again. I love it. Okay. Reaver choosing to make his aces known, or at least a single ace known. So Southpaw has the threat of a 0.0 speed move, or 0.0 speed move. Reaver has the threat of a dodge that recurs. And so both of them play the counters to those respective moves. Southpaw trying to catch an ace there, and Reaver defending himself with a jack. Fairly even in terms of life. So I'm going to give the advantage to Southpaw in this instance because he has the higher card count. Okay, he could dodge into a lot of damage here. Okay, just puts him on the ground. Ooh, very unlikely for there to be jokers in that hand. Very unlikely for there to be many answers at all in that hand. I think if I'm Southpaw here, I just go for my my jack. And if I get hit with king, then I'm alright with that. Okay, so Southpaw willing to block once to avoid either wake up king or wake up gold burst. Unlikely as it is for Reaver to have that. Okay, dodge dodge. That of course favoring Reaver as his dodge recurs, building himself out of that danger zone of having one or two, like, you know, that 4-card hand, that 3-card hand, which is very, very dangerous against a character like Geiger, especially now. So really good timing there. Southpaw, yeah, finds a queen from Temporal Distortion, so he has at least one jack, at least one queen in hand. That's a boatload of damage to Reaver B's 33 health. So if he gets a combat win, game over. Ooh, nope. Flies into Ghost Riposte. Was trying to hedge against a counter. Basically, he thought that Reaver B was going to defend himself against throw again, at which point it would have been lights out if that had hit. This could also be an instance where, ooh, that's going to be big damage too. 17. More if he chooses to follow this up. Oh, God. Jesus, that's a lot of damage. 19. Oh, off the queen alone, and then 5-6 for 30 total. Brutal. Still has the dodge, so the threat of that is always there. Oh! And outspeeds the 10th of throws, and that is going to be game one. Nicely played by Reaver B. Very nicely navigated. Looked like he was in a lot of trouble there, but he got himself out of that pinch fairly well. Okay, so Southpaw Hare immediately switching to Zane. Zane, a character who has far more damage potential off of his throws and doesn't have to spend as much time blocking to build a hand. So he's going to be able to play that low hand that's safe from Reaver's from DeGray's Moral High Ground ability, where he gets a bunch of free damage based on the card differential between the two characters. Okay, finds an early throw. Not bad. Probably take the knockdown here, unless we've got 5 or 6 jack. Yeah, just takes the knockdown. Playing a 3 in this instance because Zane has no odd blocks. Fairly safe. Very little that Zane can do that's going to really hurt that. Yeah. So wakes up with a 2. He's going to be able to find some damage here. We'll see if he can convert this into a knockdown. The other advantage that Zane has in this matchup is he has the ability to chain knockdowns. He doesn't have too many tools to find the knockdown, but if he does manage to find them, especially at opportune times where Degrey doesn't have too many cards in hand. He can really go and do a lot of damage, because the only thing that Degrey has to be able to beat meaty attacks are his King, which are sub 1.0 speed, and his and Gold Burst. So he only has 6 answers to meaty attacks that aren't, you know, blocking the correct block. So of course, if you're knocked down, if you're blocking even, you can only defend yourself. It's only going to work against even attacks, and vice versa with odd. Okay, so Southpaw finds a throw and finds an ace dodge, which is very, very nice. I believe that was hidden. Yeah, we didn't see any power-ups or straights. And finds some good damage and knockdown as well. So the nice thing for Reaver is he has 8 cards in hand. He has the potential ability to posture that he has kings at this point, or at least 1 king. Right? Not unreasonable that he might have an answer to meaty attacks. So he could block his way up, or he could just play the king raw. Okay, yeah, chooses just to play the king. Southpaw blocking. He was getting at 5 cards in hand. Depending on what was actually in his hand, he might not have had all that much fuel to actually go in, but you don't want to get blown up for free against Zane. He can deal a lot of damage very rapidly. Oh god, finds the second the second stealth ace, and flips a 9 off of shenanigans. So this is going to be good damage here. Going to get him much closer to ending this second game. 22 damage off of basically 2 cards. He gets the 9 for free. Okay, so things not looking great for Reaverb here. Okay, nice. He's able to get Troublesome Rhetoric off. Southpaw has a king or high enough to... Oh no! Twice now, Reaver has been able to find a really lucky dodge against Gold Burst. Okay. Puts another ace dodge in hand. So he now has access to Final Arbiter, the ace-ace attack side move. So at any point, if he dodges, throws, or attacks his way into a combat win, he can tack that on for massive damage. 20 damage plus however many cards he has less than his opponent. He can equalize this quite rapidly if he finds the right damage. If he can dodge into another queen for knockdown and get some sort of setup. Nice! Pokes out a throw. At this point, any combat win for Zane is probably going to be lethal. Degrey, unfortunately, one of those characters, or fortunately if you're playing against him, but unfortunately for Degrey, he basically has no follow-ups to that 3. He has no normal attack on his 4, so the only thing he can chain that into is a king, which is his reversal. He's not going to want to play that in this matchup. A jack for a little bit of damage, you know, alright damage, or ace-ace, which at this point I think... Ooh, okay, so he's going to flip this around. He's going to be able to win combat here. Does need to flip this. Yeah, okay, good. It's like, please, for the love of God, don't forget to flip this. That would be a very bad way to lose a game. So 7, okay, into nothing, still holding on to the aces. He probably only has the 2 aces in hand. Okay, now we're going to see the follow-up. Oh, I see. Okay, maybe he only had the 1 ace in hand. I'm not sure now about that. But yeah, considering, I mean, playing the attack into... Oh! Oh no! Oh, suddenly anarchy. And I believe he only powered up for a single one of those aces as well. So good hidden anarchy from Southpaw. Takes it all of a sudden. He had been playing a fairly heavy throw range. Reaverb showing that he wanted to counterpoke those throws. Had not been playing very aggressively with the aces, so with the ace dodges. So nice timing on the anarchy. We'll see what adjustment either Reaver makes either in the character he wants to select, or if he just makes some adjustments in terms of gameplay. So that game was largely lost in the in the earlier mid game. He mounted a bit of a comeback later on, but was a little bit too late, and Hidden Anarchy would have made that very, very difficult. Reaver taking a moment to think about this. The counters that he could roll into. Oh, okay, interesting. He goes for Grave. Grave considered slightly advantaged against Zane. His other two picks, which would have been more highly advantaged against Zane, would have been Troc or Onimaru. Onimaru, of course, having the issue where he is very easily counterpicked. Ooh. Do we see suddenly 25 on turn 1? Does he have the second ace? He does not. Okay, just 12. While that ace is in the discard, Reaverb can breathe a sigh of relief that Anarchy is off the table. But yeah, so the issue that Onimaru has is that he's very easily counterpicked by Degray or Argagarg. Nice 2 from Southpaw, just sneaks under that 2 from Reaver. Zane having the advantage in normal speeds. His 2 also being very, very effective at getting under Grave's Jack, which can be a very nice zoning, spacing tool. Basically allowing him to build to a hand, but apparently Reaver blessed with a triple that he's happily willing to convert into the threat of True Power of Storms. In this case, as Southpaw, I probably just play into True Power of Storms and then try to win on card advantage. Okay, yeah, so Southpaw thinking the same thing. Reaver unwilling to play T-Pos, which is probably smart. Don't want to go down to, I guess, like 3 cards against a character like Zane, who has 2 ranks of dominant throws. 5s and 7s are going to outspeed Reaver's fastest throw on his 7. It blocks and reveals a 7. So this is either a plain throw, probably play it throw side, or it's a bait to try to find a 5 or a 7 from Southpaw. Oh no! Oh, that's very, very unfortunate. Oh no. Okay, at least he's still at 5 cards in hand. 4 cards, unless this is a... Okay, second ace disappears. Unless we see suddenly 25 here. Could see him dodge into... Yeah, okay. Probably had 2 aces anyway. Or he had at least 1 ace and a king. And would have dodged into king for the knockdown. So in neutral, 3 aces in the discard for Reaver. Very unfortunate situation here. He's got to block his way back into a hand where he can threaten some damage. And especially, he's got to block his way into a hand where he can power up for aces again. Oh, no, yeah. Unfortunately, I think, well, Reaver making the call that maybe, you know, if he was going to throw, it was going to be with an 8 or a 10. But I believe in this instance, as Reaver, I would probably be playing more of a block attack range. Ooh, yeah. And the bluff's really not paying off for him. Southpaw finding the damage. I agree with bluffing at this point. You need to try as much as possible to dissuade Southpaw from following. Oh god, that's a lot of aces. The threat of Anarchy is very real. The Anarchy threat could set him up very nicely. Just, I mean, he's basically got an Anarchy or cross-up mix-up here. Okay, just chooses to block. He might not have the 4th ace at this point quite yet. Depends entirely on And Reaver was willing to die to Anarchy there. Yeah, it depends entirely on whether, when Southpaw dodged earlier and got the Shenanigans ace followed into AA, whether Reaver thinks that that's an indicator that he dodged in that instance because he already had the second ace, in which case he has all four. Because he picked all three of them out of his discard. So he could have had the one still remaining. So I would probably play as though True Power of Storms is real. Nice throw. Nice throw. Has to find his way around these throw attempts. And the issue too is that he has to somehow cover against dodges as well. If you're playing attack block, dodges become very, very, very safe. And Zane has a fair amount of them too, so. Okay, nice. Blocks his way out of that. He's going to be able to reveal something out of knowing the opponent. I wonder about that reveal. If you have something with a dodge on it, I think that's probably the more favorable. Oh, okay, yeah. Unfortunately, I think that he was in a situation where he probably had to power those up as his only options. So he powered up for 2 aces, one still in the discard. Could be threatening the fact that he has, he drew into his last ace and now powered up for 2, so okay, just plays it raw. Going for the unlikely pick here. Unfortunately, yeah, I really hope he has the Joker, because this is almost certainly... I mean, it doesn't even have to be max Anarchy. It could be minimum Anarchy at this point. Just be 19 damage. I think I almost 100% play into this. If you have the other 2 aces, and with 10 cards in hand, even if you only have 3, probably power up for 4th one. Okay, go for the knockdown instead. Unwilling to potentially lose 2 aces to a blue burst. Okay, now Reaver confirming that he has... Reaver confirming that he does in fact have True Power of Storms. Southpaw has a lot of threats here. He has Anarchy to beat everything that isn't the block. He has Throw to beat the block. And he has Dodge into Anarchy, or anything, really. Ooh, yep. Okay, does Reaver have a 10 and a face card? Yeah, otherwise, he's going to lose. Oh, before I face down the 10. Oh no! Unfortunate. Nicely played by Southpaw. That was a very, very safe play there. So Southpaw goes up 2-1. That was pretty slick. Got to admire that. I'll see if Reaver switches into Troc. He goes back to DeGray if he sticks with Grave. Oh, okay. To Midori, though. Okay, Grappler hype. I like it. Okay, so Midori, one of the classic grapplers, is going to be having to do a lot of blocking, as that is primary mode. Ooh. Gets immediately throw duffed. So as I was about to say, nice shenanigans too. As I was about to say, Midori basically has a game plan where against all characters he can basically play block throw. Block to defend himself against attacks, and throws because his throws are better than anybody else's throws. Assuming he's throwing with a 3, a 4, or a 5. Or no, sorry. Assuming he's throwing with a 3 or a 4, he's going to beat all of Zane's throws if they clash. So they're just faster. But if you're playing throws, Zane can just play 9s and 6s and 7s, like really big, slow starters. And if you're playing purely block throw as Midori, you're taking a risk, right? You're either you're going to block those big normals, which doesn't hurt Zane all that much. He doesn't need normal draw to get cards in hand. He gets so much off of shenanigans, off of his innate. But if you accidentally throw into one of those, you're going to take a lot of damage and get knocked down. And in a knockdown situation, Midori has very, very few answers. Good block. So Midori gets to build a bit of a hand here. Played one Dragon Queen. It's going to be all about... Midori is a character that's very reliant on velocity, so drawing through his deck as much as possible. Because he's very dependent on having specific tools in his hand at the right times. And right now, Southpaw playing a fairly attack-heavy range, trying to defend himself against throws that have stopped coming for the most part. And now he's looking at an 11-card Midori. Now the throws come out. So we know he has an 8, probably going to throw into 8 here. Yeah. Nice 16 damage for 2 cards, very efficient. All of that off of a dominant combat option, that 4 throw. Going to beat anything, any throw, any blocks, any dodges that Southpaw is going to play. The only way he can defend himself against that is to play an attack. That, of course, feeds into Midori's strategy of block a whole bunch of attacks to have a whole bunch of cards that he needs in late game. And again, throw into 16. Very, very nice. Still sitting at 8 cards. Midori always wants to be sitting at basically 10 or 11 cards. Gets Dragon Form off too, so now a lot of dominant options come to the table. So his Dragon Queen, which is incredibly fast, hits like a truck and a half. He can dodge into his super throw. Ooh, it immediately gets 5 thrown. Yeah, wah wah. So unfortunately, Dragon Form does disappear as soon as you are thrown. The unfortunate part about fighting Zane is that you can actually get hit with an attack, like get a throw duffed by an attack, and then get comboed into a throw because all of his throws are linkers. And that still counts and will get you out of Dragon Form, so that's part of the trick. Ooh, okay. As Reaver here, I'm not too sad about seeing that hand go. You had 2 kings, which, yeah, alright, fine. 2 dodges is kind of important. The 5 really does nothing. You've got a Dragon Form, and you haven't got a single ace. Not a great hand, to be honest. Dodging into kings was his plan there. Just get as much damage as possible. Good block. Luckily blocks the even cross-up, or the odd cross-up with an odd block. So he avoids a freight train of damage. Zane can basically, with impunity, play those queens, or play those meaty attacks on knockdown. Simply because Midori's only answer is Gold Burst or Dragon Form of Queen, which means he either has to be in Dragon Form already, or he has to have a 10 in hand to be able to discard to play it. And since Southpaw used Creator and Destroyer to put that previous hand with a bunch of 10s in it on the bottom of his deck, he can be fairly confident that he doesn't have to think about Dragon Queen as a combat option. And big damage there. Anything will do it at this point. Any combat loss for Reaver will spell the end. Okay, blocking a little bit more. Only seen a single queen from him. It's not impossible that he have more of them. Ooh. Sad high normal is sad. Yeah. So that 7 was trying to find a 5, in which case it was just going to ruin somebody's face. Ooh, that's actually a really unfortunate hand to lose. A lot of fairly good options there. Now with 2 queens at the bottom of his deck, 2 10s, this is a cross-up normal for sure, unless he feels cheeky and wants to go for a throw here. Yeah. Reaver B trying to defend himself against the surefire throw because Southpaw had so much pressure to try to force Reaver to a block. So, good pick there. And Southpaw goes up to 3. Reaver chooses to go back to de Grey. Very solid choice. Not against Zane specifically, but just in general against most of the cast. It's going to be very difficult for Southpaw to basically, if Reaverb does win here, Southpaw isn't going to have a character that he can immediately go to and say, oh, okay, yeah, it's obvious that I switched to this person who has a really strongly advantaged matchup against de Grey. Because basically nobody has a strongly advantaged matchup against de Grey. Oh, big damage! Wow! Okay, that's going to hurt. That's definitely going to leave a mark. So good start. He gets an ace in hand. He's got 4 cards and he's going to get a draw. So he's at 6 in hand. Okay, powers up. So he has the threat of Arbiter. Kind of an empty threat, unfortunately. I think I would have kept the 3s if I were Reaver. Because you really can't follow up anything with... Yeah. I mean, I guess if you have other normal attacks to defend against throws, you're fine. Pays 10 life and gets Crater Destroyered. Yeah, Southpaw getting a lot of mileage off of that card. So he didn't see any kings in that. However, he's only... So there's a potential that he might have put a king into his hand. But he's only on a 5-card hand, so you might be willing to take a bet that he doesn't have it. Okay. Yeah. The throw is a fairly safe option there. If Reaverb is going to wake up with something, it's probably going to be a king. Unless he's playing very, very gutsy and opens with something cheaper that loses to just the straight meaty attacks into shenanigans play from Zane. Okay, nice. Blocks the Crash Bomb. Gets the knockdown set up against Southpaw. Goes up a little bit in cards. And he unfortunately does not have aces. Okay, never mind. Powers up for aces. Puts at least 1 ace in his hand. So making Southpaw think twice about waking up with a 2. In case it gets caught with that ace. Okay, it's wake up 3, but basically the same concept. So Reaver's going to be able to follow this up. He probably has a queen in hand. He's going to get the knockdown and a good amount of damage. Yeah, even gets to tack on 1 damage from Moral High Ground for 15 and knockdown. This game going much, much better than the previous de Grey vs. Zane game, where he basically took much too much damage in the very, very early. Oh, nice! Ghost riposts through the Crash Bomb attempt. Gonna be able to follow this up. Do we have another queen? Queen 1 time? I might take the knockdown here as Reaver. Unless I have something like 6-Jack. Really deal that damage, but I would do a quick calculation to see if I can kill. If I can kill, I follow through, obviously, because he didn't face down. If I can't, I might just take the knockdown. Okay. Chooses not to. I mean, he does have him at 8 health, so he just doesn't have. He just has to win like 1 more combat. So any throw will do it. All of de Grey's throws deal 8 damage. Basically, any attack into any follow-up will do it. Yeah, and PCP for good coverage for a commanding game. Basically, very difficult to win against de Grey if you don't win combat. So, Reaver puts another point on the board, and Southpaw is going to get another choice here. Does he want to switch to Trock? Trock also considered a very strong character against de Grey. Or does he stick with Zane, which has been doing very well for him? So I wouldn't be surprised either way. He may want to try to pick Troc. However, if he loses Troc, loses with Troc, it's now tie game, and then could you go back to Zane at that point? That might not feel very psychologically comfortable. Oh, okay, interesting. I personally think this is personally think this is crazy. But we'll see. We'll see. So, what does Gloria have in this matchup that's good? Her kings, which are 2.2, knockdown, and recur, are all very good. That's basically it as far as I can tell, as far as I think. I think that if Reaver just blocks a lot, he's going to be absolutely fine in this matchup. Gloria has a very difficult time making a throw-heavy game work. Her throws are not particularly fast. Her fastest one is on the 7, and all of her throws are 0.8 speed. Blocking very heavily also denies Gloria her overdose. The only way she's going to get overdose off, or it denies her the cards off of overdose. The only way she's going to get overdose off is if she starts throwing, and throwing against De Grey is incredibly risky. Throws are what get you bunked, so you've got to be very careful as Gloria. And De Grey has burst damage, so I really don't know what this pick is. Southpaw must be very confident in his Gloria. Okay, so blocks a bunker, is going to be able to overdose. The nice thing the other nice thing as well for Reaver in this situation is that as De Grey, you're kind of happy for Gloria to be at 9, 10 cards, which she's quite often going to be at because she can recur, because overdose does draws you those cards if you do win combat with them. Healing Sphere just gives her more cards, so I really this is really scary. Double Healing Sphere, okay, I see you. As Reaver, I mean, you just block forever. Okay, yeah, okay. Good throw. I mean, very good throw from Southpaw. Gotta play the risky options. If you're right, I guess. Okay, overdose. Life total's fairly even. So that is starting to become Gloria advantaged. However, Gloria's got to be continuously careful that even though they go, this might be a complex counter pick, says Carandia. Yeah, I think this is a confidence pick more than anything. I don't think this qualifies as a counter pick by any stretch of the imagination. Unless there's, I could be entirely wrong, but I am not convinced. Oh, I see. Where Southpaw is trying to pick a more complex character that Reaver might be unfamiliar with to try to leverage for a win. Yeah, that's fair. I could see that argument. I don't think it's based on the way that Reaver has been playing the early game, I think it's very unlikely for that to be the case. Okay, so now he's overdosing without getting the cards, so just dealing the damage. If he's able to continue healing, that's all right. Because he's got the healing sphere, so he can draw alternatively. Again, that's not that great for him, though. But as I was saying, I don't think that's going to work against Reaver B, or at least if he thought it was going to work, I don't think that's turned out to be the case, because Reaver has been playing basically the correct mix-up, which is like block or dodge almost all the time, and then very occasionally reach out with a throw or a bunk. And there you go. Oh, Johnny D saying Reaver B plays Gloria though. So yeah, I don't know. It could be some very complex system of shaming that Southpaw is trying to do to him. I will destroy you with your mane. I'll crush you. on the plains, on battle, in the mountains, wherever we meet. So I don't know. Very complicated. Work. Yeah. So I don't disagree that Gloria is a good pick against a newer player. I don't. Unfortunately, I don't think Reaverb. Unfortunately for Southpaw, I don't think Reaverb is a newer player. So he finally finds Ghost Riposte. We see the immediate face down from Southpaw. Yeah, so immediate into just throw is fine. We prevent any healing. We put her on the ground. Gloria has a lot of 2.2 speed wake-up options, which contend very nicely with the kinds of things that De Grey could play. But there's always the threat of ace dodge, so wake-up throw is something that you just have to do sometimes. But again, throwing off of knockdown. Ooh. Okay. Finds the jack. Undercuts that too. Gonna be able to heal off of this. Gonna be able to get overdose off of this. Wow! Okay. Jacks. I'm gonna heal up. Overdose is gonna move them fairly evenly into the late game here. They're both gonna be around 30 health. And the issue here, I think this very clearly illustrates the issue. If Reaver has, yeah, if Reaver dodges into Queen Ace Ace and Southpaw doesn't have a Joker, he's just dead. He's just killed. Rip. Rest in pepperoni. Now the nice thing about Gloria is that she has incredible deck velocity. So already basically halfway through the deck, very unlikely that she hasn't drawn a Joker at this point. Okay, Healing Sphere. Yeah, okay, so that's one that you retrieved from the discard. Ooh! Oh no! Very unfortunate queen throw there. Reaver does not have to spin that around. Probably a face down here, yeah. Reaver does not have to respect it. By knocking him down, he denies healing, yeah. So, you know, a lot of good bluffs from Southpaw preventing follow-up. As Reaver, you do not want to spend that AA into a Joker. You need that damage to be able to close this out. That's where a lot of your burst is going to come from. Oh, okay, loses an ace to a throw. Jackson 3 in there. The Rock, you're gonna have to explain that one. Okay, combos into some heals. So Gloria now sitting on a higher life total, and De Grey in the unfortunate danger zone where simply, if he doesn't put Southpaw to below 10, he will die on this turn if Southpaw has an ace. And so if Southpaw has 2 Jokers, this is GG. So hey, if that was his plan all along, that's pretty slick. I wonder about, if you're going to Troublesome Rhetoric there, I wonder about not Troublesome Rhetoricing dodge instead of attack. Not too sure if that's clearly better or worse than clearing attack. If he does have a dodge, I mean, doesn't matter. De Grey can get 30 damage. He can combo into his aces with whatever he wants to. And that's just lethal. Ah, unfortunate. Unless he has... No, that's right. If he has an ace, then he dies to the 3rd ace. Unfortunately. Nicely played by Southpaw. Okay. Alright, he made it work. I don't think that was a pick he really needed to get into, but nicely played. Good stuff. So 4-1 or 4-2 for Southpaw. GG's, and thanks everybody for watching.